Windows hacking. In this video, I'm going to show you how to hack into a Windows machine by using real-world vulnerabilities. So let's get into it. So the first thing we need to do is scan the network. So a way we could do it is by using a tool called nmap. And since we don't know the syntax, we'll use --help to show up the help manual. And if you scroll up, we'll be able to see all these options. And we can see some that are will be very useful for us. And if we go to service version, that could be pretty useful because we want to see what version is running on the port. We maybe find like a specific vulnerability for a specific version. And if we do SC, we can get some default scripts. This kind of helps us look at some scripts that can be run on a certain service to be able to exploit it. And if you do -o, we can see this will tell us the operating system version. So if you do nmap.sv for service version and sc for default scripts and -o for the operating system version, and now we'll need to get the IP address. I'm using Blue from Hack the Box for this example. You can follow along by having Hack the Box account. You just need a active subscription. So I'm gonna get the IP and put it in. I'm gonna let this run. It's gonna take a little bit since we can press the spacebar button and it can tell us how long it's gonna take. But you can see it's not gonna take that long. So we can see that the scan has finished and we can see we have some ports open. So this is our PC and this one isn't useful. This is all just noise, so you don't really need to focus on this. The one that's really interesting is port 445, which is SMB. If you don't know what it is, you can just do what is port 445 and it will tell us that it's SMB, which is used to primarily share printer sharing and file sharing within networks for Windows environments. So we know what it does now, and we could just look a bit lower and we can see we have SMB running. And we can see we're running an outdated version of Windows, so we're running Windows 7 Professional. One thing we could do is just copy the service version. We were able to get the OS version through the -o tag, which is very useful. We were able to see that it was SMB through common scripts, which is the SC flag. So we can see all this because of that, the SC flag. And we can see the name of the computer, and the work time, the work group, the system time, and we can even see some other information. Most of this is just noise, but we can see here the SMB mode. We can see it's SMB version 2, not version 3. So if we go back to our tab and we type in the version of Windows which we got from here, DOS section, and if you type in SMB, we may be able to find something, and we can see that we get Eternal Blue. The one that I find interesting is the one by Rapid7, as Rapid7 is the maintainer of Metasploit, which is a really good hacking tool. So we can see that this is Eternal Blue SMB remote Windows kernel exploit, which could be pretty interesting to look into. So we can see it's a buffer overflow, which is when you shove more memory into a little part of the RAM, and this overflow allows you to pretty much are able to write whatever you want to that piece of memory, which can be pretty good. And we can see this is used for SMB v1, but we're running SMB v2. But one thing we can say is that this may have backwards compatibility with SMB v1. And we can see this exploit may not work 100% of the time and should run continuously until triggered. So we can see that this will work with anonymous default login. So we can anonymously log in to SMB. We could check that out by using crack map-exec. This is a tool also used for Windows hacking. So this can be used to check out SMB servers. So I'm going to put SMB, which is the protocol we're using. Now I'm going to the IP address again from the target IP address, and I'll put that in. And we want to do -u for users and --. If we didn't know the version, we could do crap map-exec, and we can do --help. And this will give us syntax. We can see all the syntax here. And we could keep, if you know it's SMB, we could do crap map-exec. So we can do crap map-exec, and we can do SMB. We can do --help again to see if we need any more help. But I know what I'm doing. You could go through this and learn some new things. It's a really good way to enumerate Windows environments. So we can do -p with no pass, and we can do --shares. This will list out the number of shares, and we can see that we have access denied. We could also use another way. We can just type in guest. Guest is another default user that we could try to use, and we can see we get in with guest. So sometimes it may not work with the with nothing in. We might need to put in guest for the user. Where you can see we can read to share and users. So we can definitely use this exploit. So one of the things we can do now is I'm going to go back and just type in clear to clear the terminal, and I'm going to do msf console-q to let this run. And if you don't have Metasploit, you can do sudo apt install. I think it's Metasploit framework or something. So you can just type in how to install msf console to learn how to install it. Well, it's something that goes along the line of that. And as you can see, it has already loaded up. So you can see we have access to the Metasploit framework. So if we type in this, or we just type in Eternal Blue, which is a pretty well-known exploit. So if you type that in, we can see we get all this from this one search result. So personally, I just want to use this first one here. So this is all just options for this one exploit. So personally, I'm just going to use 0, and I'm going to let it auto detect what version that we're running against. So we can see this was found in 2017, and we can see that this is a ranked average. So we can use 0, and we can do show options, and we can see all these options here. So we can see the yes is something that we need to require to put in. By default, SMB runs on port 445, and we can double check by scrolling up, and we can see that it is running on 445. And if we go back, we can see we don't need to specify a username or a password. We just need to put in our remote host. So if we can do set our host for remote host, and we want to set this as this IP, well, this IP address of my victim's machine. So let's put that in, and we can see we got our host running. So if you do show options, we can see that it has been put in. Now we just need to put in L host. So I'm going to do ton0. Ton0 is my OpenVPN IP address. I could do if config to show you, and you can put it in manually right here. You can see this is my IP address that I need to use, but you can see it's auto put it in for me, which is a good hack. So if we just do run, we can see that it has worked. We can see that it is working. It says this host is likely vulnerable to MSF17-10, and we can see that it is doing it. We can see it's sent to stager, and it's in the stage right now, and it has corrupted the buffer, and we can see it gave us a win, so it has done it. And if you do get UID, we can see we're NT authority system. NT authority system is like root on Linux system, so we are like a super user. We're like higher than the administrator. But if you don't know what we're doing, we can just do help again to say what do I need, what can I do. I can do hash dump. So let's just do hash dump, and we can see we get the hashes of all the user. This is the admin hash. This is their guest password hash, which isn't that useful, but Harris's hash is pretty interesting. We could use this to log in whenever we want. So we can scroll up and see that we can record audio, list webcams, and do a bit of like really worrying things you could do, I guess you could say. And we can enumerate all desktops and Windows stations. And we can just control the mouse as well and show whatever you want on the screen. We can see, if you keep scrolling up, you'll be able to see a lot more. We can get the network interfaces. I could just scroll up all here and just make this video about Metasploit, but I'm going to try to keep it semi-short, and I'm going to do dir for directory. And if we should be able to see the output of System 32. System 32 is just it's pretty much where Windows is stored. So it's not really that interesting for me, so I'm going to go to shell. And if you go to shell, we can see that we have like a proper PowerShell. So if we go to C/C, this is just the base of the directory, and if you do -dir again, we can see we get users window, which we were just in. We were just in there. So we want to get to users, because users normally have something pretty interesting in for us. If we do cd users, and if we do -dir, and if we cd over to administrator, we can see we're in the administrator directory. If you do dir to list a directory, we can see we get a lot of documents. So we can go to documents and see whatever they have, and we can go to cd downloads to see if they have anything in download, but they don't. So I'm going to go to desktop, as normally desktop is where they have really sensitive information. Since this is a CTF, we get root.txt, but normally we may find other passwords and other sensitive information which we could use. If we want to read root, we can do cat root.txt, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to go back to So I'm going to do cd dot dot to get back a directory and do that again. And if you do dash dir again, we can see Harris's directory. We can do the same thing and just list that directory. So you can see in Harris's directory, it's exactly the same as root's, well, as the administrator's directory. You can see exactly the same, no difference. But if we go to their Harris's desktop, we can see that they have user.txt. We can do cat user.txt to get user.txt as well. But we have done that. So I'm not going to do that, and if we just do exit again, we can see we're back to the meta interpreter. We could do help again, and we can just do load Kiwi. Kiwi it's like Mimikat, which is another Windows hacking tool. I might do a video on Mimikat and how to use it as well. But if we do dash help again, we can see we get all these extra commands, Kiwi commands. We could get a golden ticket, which is like when we get like an NTLM hash, which is like the hashes that we saw earlier from hash dump. And we can use these to create like a special golden ticket to log in as another user, where we can create our own user and log in whenever we want. So we can impersonate any user. That's pretty powerful. We can get all the hashes from like the main server. But I'm going to keep this video short as I don't want to overwhelm you with all these terms. And this is pretty much just how you hack into a Windows system. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.